Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the Vendetta Sports Media Daily Show. I'm Jerry Walker, and alongside me today, making his Daily Show debut, is Jackson Fyda. Jackson, before we get into anything, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. It's an exciting week. It's my first week here at Vendetta. It's the first time here doing this, so looking forward to it.
Yeah, what do you think of Vendetta so far? Like you said, it's your first week here as part of the summer internship class. So, what are you kind of looking forward to? What are your thoughts so far?
I'm liking it so far. I'm liking that I kind of just get to write about soccer every single day. I get to research it, get to write about it. Really enjoying it. At first, it kind of seemed like daunting, like trying to figure out oh, what should I write about? How should I write about it? All this stuff, but I think I'm getting the hang of it. I think I'm figuring out how to do it the right way. So really looking forward to continue doing it over the summer and kind of improving what I'm doing now as I keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I've seen you write quite a bit about Bundesliga, some Premier League stuff. Is there any other specific stories you've written so far that you've enjoyed just kind of digging deeper into?
Yeah, one of them was the preview I did for the U20 World Cup. So that's like one of my
Okay.
favorite tournaments, honestly,
Okay.
just because when you see like U20 players play, it's absolute chaos because
Yeah.
they're still young, they're not experienced. So you're seeing all this kind of funny stuff happen. Like the other day, South Korea beat France 2-1, which would that's just kind of shocking. It would rarely happen.
Yeah.
Seeing like the US was struggling to beat Fiji. It took them to like the 60th minute yesterday.
Oh, geez.
So stuff like that. So I wrote a preview for that where I kind of did a little bit of background research. So I really like that one because that's a tournament I always like watching. And also did one on the new MLS team in San Diego.
Mm,
That one kind of hit home for me because I used to play academy soccer in San Diego. So
okay.
grew up in the culture a little bit, got to experience a little bit of that for a year. So seeing that, I was able to kind of dive into what that's going to mean for the area. So that one was pretty cool too.
I bet. I mean, San Diego, as a lot of people might not know now, is going to be the 30th MLS team, or is
Yeah,
it the
30
30th MLS team starting 2024-25 season, I believe.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun. I guess just on the MLS kind of standpoint, I do have a question for you about it. Do you think they should add relegation and promotion with the USL? Because for me, that's a strong topic in my opinion. I feel like 30 teams, kind of a lot for a one league, but what are your thoughts?
Yes. As a soccer lover, yes. Because that's how you get the best out of the league. You get teams actually trying. That's how you get fans to be more
Mhm.
involved. So 100% from a soccer player fan perspective, 100%. Will it happen? No. It's not going
No.
to happen. They pay too many or too high of expansion fees to be willing to let their team go down, the owners. Like San Diego just paid $500 million in expansion alone
Jeez.
to be in the league. So I just don't see a way where that's going to happen because those owners have too much power because they're the ones with the money. So
Yeah.
unless somehow some new U.S. soccer president comes in, makes that a ruling, somehow gets them all on board, I don't see it happening. But I do think the USL is going to do it amongst themselves, which
Okay.
could be kind of interesting because they've got USL Championship and USL League One. They're trying to build out League One a little bit more, and then hopefully that's the goal for them is to do some pro rel. Hopefully that happens before 2026. But with the MLS and USL, I'd love to see it to happen. I think most soccer fans in the country would, but
Mm.
I just don't think it's logistically possible right now.
Yeah, I feel like they don't want that risk of losing out on all that money just because you have a bad season. And we've seen teams all over Europe, they have one bad season, go down a league. In the US, that would involve a huge amount of money drop off and income coming in. So not worth the risk for a lot of these owners, especially when they're paying that a ridiculous amount of money just to get into the league. But I guess just one question for you. Like you play Division I soccer at Bradley, I believe, right?
Yeah, yes.
And you've played some semi-pro, you said. So what's your experience with the footballing world?
Yeah, so basically when I was 16, I grew up in Reno, Nevada, played
Okay.
soccer here. When I was 16, I left home, moved to Barca Residency Academy in Arizona,
Oh
which
yeah.
is a pretty good academy. Julian Araujo signed with the first team. I played with Diego Luna, who scored at the U20 World Cups. Well, I didn't play with him. He was a year younger and played on the first team. I was on the second team when I was there. He was there. He scored at the U20 World Cup. Matthew Hoppies played for the full national team. So there were guys like that when I was there. And then after a year of that, I moved to Nomads in San Diego, played there. And then, I went to Bradley University. I've played 3 seasons there and also played semi-professionally in Canada for Thunder Bay Chill. I'm actually wearing the
Oh,
triple
okay.
training kit right now.
Hey, respect.
Yeah,
What was that like going to Canada to play? It was kind of
dude,
just a different environment and everything, I would assume.
so it's like it was kind of like a fever dream because you're going to a different country, but it's so similar, but yet they still have kilometers Celsius, and the Canadian currency is different. So
Mm.
it was cool though. It was cool. I got to do a summer there. Got to do road trips back to the U.S. So it was always weird crossing the border, coming back to play in the U.S. But that was fun. And now I'm playing semi-pro back home in Reno. Yeah.
Awesome. That sounds like a great experience and a great time doing what you love to do. It's very jealous of that. It must have been such a cool experience going to play in a different country. Even if it is Canada, it's still all that cultural differences you get to witness and see. But I guess we should kind of hop into what's happening in Europe. And it's the last weekend of the Premier League season now. We have the titles. Arsenal have bottled it completely, and it's officially done there. So Man City were crowned champions this past weekend. But for me, looking at it, it's all about those like 6, 7, 8, that European spots. There's the last Champions League place up for grabs between Man U and Liverpool, and then that relegation battle as well. So I guess we'll start kind of up top. Arsenal or Liverpool 3 points back of Man U, but Man United have a game in hand. Do you think Liverpool is going to be able to catch them there?
I don't. I think Man U's going to pull it out. I really do. I hope Liverpool catches it because I'm not a Man U fan, and plus I want to see some carnage on the final day. If Arsenal can't win the league, I want to see everyone else suffer as well.
Yeah.
But I just don't think they're going to. I think they're going to do what they need to do.
Yeah, especially when looking at their fixtures. Man United plays Chelsea tomorrow afternoon, 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock Eastern time. Then on the weekend, on the last day on Sunday, they play Fulham. You'd have to think they'll get 3 points in one of those, and that'll be more than enough to guarantee their Champions League spot. But
yeah, I think they're just going to have just enough. But they've let Liverpool in. They've pulled a little mini Arsenal towards the end. They've let Liverpool come close, but I just think they're just going to be able to just pull it out at the end.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those really exciting kind of races that I know personally I can't stand Man United. So if they could slip up twice this week and see Liverpool get up, that'd be much more enjoyable for me. But let's also just on the Champions League note, Newcastle, they've made it first time in 20 years. Are you surprised? Like we know they have the Saudi buy owners now, so they have a ton of money coming in. Are you surprised they were able to kind of turn it around that quick and make a Champions League return?
I am, yeah. I mean, to do it as fast as they did it is honestly remarkable. I was like, Newcastle is going to be competing for this kind of stuff in 3 to 5 years, and then it just took 1 year. 1 year. It took Alexander Isak, a few other additions, and now they're just unreal. They are so good. When you watch them play, they are ridiculously good. And they got Eddie Howe as manager. I didn't know how he would fare because he used to do Bournemouth. So he's kind of like a bottom team, and now he has all these resources. I didn't know how he'd fare with having all that available for him, but he has taken it in stride. And they are an unreal team.
No, and absolutely, like you said, him coming in and taking it in stride. It's like it's not like, say, we'll see Chelsea as an example. They've kind of just thrown money willy-nilly kind of everywhere, just buying players, not really with a plan. It seems like this Newcastle side and the board has a direct plan, and they're executing that to perfection at the moment. Going to likely finish third in the league, might finish fourth behind Man United, depending on results this upcoming weekend. But either way, the Gordies are off to Europe, and it'll be a very, very entertaining time for them, I bet.
Mm-hmm.
But looking at the other ones, Europa League, it's likely going to be that Liverpool team or Man U, depending on who falls out. I would think Liverpool, sadly. But it's those other ones. There's 3 points 4 points, I guess, separating Brighton, who has a game in hand. So I think they're likely going to be okay, but they're only 3 points ahead of Aston Villa for that last Europa League spot. Do you think Brighton just pulls that one out, even though they have 2 matches left, including one against Man City?
I think they do, yeah. Well, the Man City game's going to happen today, and I just don't really want to watch because I've seen enough of Man City.
Yeah.
winning games. But Brighton is a very good team. And I'm not just saying that because they absolutely thrashed Arsenal, but also because they just are with the Zerbi as manager and the players they have, Caicedo, all those guys. They're a European caliber team.
Yeah, they really are. And I mean, if the goal difference wasn't so far apart, Brighton has a plus 20 goal differential. Aston Villa has a +4. Those two teams play each other on the final day of the season. Mm-hmm. That could have been very exciting had it been a little closer, because at this point, if Brighton, they kind of need Man City to win comfortably, and then we might need a 9-10-0 win by Aston Villa, which doesn't seem very realistic in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't see it.
But the other European one, for the almighty UEFA Conference League, everyone's favorite European tournament now. It's 3 teams fighting for it, right? Or Aston Villa, obviously, at 58 points, Tottenham right behind them at 57, and Brentford at 56. And those 3 teams have relatively similar calibers of matches coming up. So it's going to be, in my opinion, it's going to be interesting. Who do you think gets through regarding that? Because, I mean, it's Aston Villa, home to Brighton, Tottenham are at Leeds, and where is it? And Brentford are home to Man City, who Man City might be resting their players at the end, final day. No need to celebrate anymore. But who do you think gets through of those 3 to that one Conference League place?
Well, first of all, when Man City rests players, they still have a better team than just about 99% of teams in the world.
That's a very good point.
They beat Brentford, especially with the whole Ivan Toney thing going on. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Brentford's not going to be able to do it. Still a great season for them. They have been very good since entering the Premier League, but I just don't think they do it. And I hate to say this, but I think Tottenham might honestly get that final spot. Yeah. I'm really hoping Aston Villa can do it, but I just have a feeling, like a gut feeling, that Tottenham's going to find some way to slither their way back into Europe.
Yeah, and I hope so. They're playing Leeds, that's the team I support, and it's tragic this year. I don't see them putting up any fight against Tottenham likely, and we'll get into the relegation battle in a second, but I do agree with you. I think it's Tottenham's to take, but it's whether or not Harry Kane and company actually shows up this weekend, because I guess it's kind of like Aston Villa will play Brighton, and I think Brighton's a good enough team to win that, so it might be that little slip up there. But thanks for answering those. And relegation battle, do you want to discuss a little bit of what's going on, like where everyone stands at the moment?
Yeah, of course. So Southampton has already been relegated. They have 24 points only. Been an absolutely terrible year for them. They're going down. We've all known they were going down for a while. It was confirmed a few weeks ago. Yeah, so Southampton's out of it. But then we've got 3 teams kind of fighting it out. Nottingham Forest saved their season by defeating Arsenal, of course, 1-0 at the weekend and winning City the league. So they're safe in 16th place. Bournemouth, West Ham, Wolves, all of them are safe as well. So that leaves Everton, Leicester, and your team Leeds fighting it out. So right now Leeds is at 19th place, 31 points. Leicester, 18th, also 31 points with a better goal difference. And then Everton with 33 points. So that's kind of where we are heading into the final bit. Everton is playing Bournemouth, Leeds is playing Tottenham, and Leicester is playing West Ham. I'm seeing Everton staying. They've got the 2 point. They got 2 points on the other teams. I see them keeping it. I don't see Leeds winning. Really don't see Leeds winning. And I think West Ham honestly might beat Leicester on the final day as well. So I think Everton's going to stay up.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there. I think it's Everton's to really lose, and they're playing a Bournemouth side that is playing for absolutely nothing. This is just their last game of the season. They don't have any European things or any FA Cups or anything to look forward to in the upcoming weeks, whereas West Ham is going to be playing in the Conference League final against Fiorentina, which props to them. I was always hoping to see West Ham get relegated but win the Conference League, because I think that just would have been an entertaining story, similar to when, I want to say it was either Wigan or Blackburn when they won the FA Cup and were relegated in the same year. So
yeah, they got to play Europa League in the Championship.
God, that would just be funny, because I know those West Ham fans, even if they were in the Championship, they would love their away days to travel around Europe. So
plus, can you imagine how funny that stadium would be in the Championship? London Stadium in the championship.
Yeah, it's almost as funny as if Luton get up and having the Luton Stadium in the Premiership League, which sounds like we'll touch on the playoffs in a second, but sounds like they're going to have to put quite a bit of money into making their stadium Premier League eligible for if they do win promotion. But back to the relegation battle, I just don't see Leeds having any chance. I think it's Everton's to lose, and so I'll talk on the Leeds side a bit. It's just this team has looked so deflated for the last few weeks. You have to go in and play West Ham, a team who's low in the table, played off a short week with a Thursday match in the Europa League that went late to win it, but go out 1-0 with Rodrigo in the first half, and then it's just a defensive collapse. 3 managers now this season for Leeds, and I'm kind of conceded about a month and a half ago that Leeds were going down, so if somehow they stay up, I'll be celebrating and shouting from the rooftops, but I just don't see it happening at all. And I realistically think the table will end the way it's looking at the bottom 4.
Yeah. I think you guys I think you fired Jesse Marsh 1 game too soon. You should have given him Southampton. I know he's not the greatest manager, but if he'd beaten Southampton, would that have changed stuff for you think?
I absolutely do. I think it would have been a little more time for him, but it wasn't even after Southampton that we fired him. It was after Was it after the Liverpool match? No, because we played with the Liverpool. Yeah. I mean, we still won the Southampton match, so it's just I don't know. It was one of those tough times that he had to go, but it just
And when you lose a manager, it just kind of affects the rest of the squad, even if he's not he definitely was not the right guy for Leeds. The way he played isn't how you should play if you're a relegation battling team, just so loose in the back.
Yeah, it's no defensive prowess at all, and that was the hope that maybe with Big Sam coming in, Sam Allardyce, he'd try and lock it down in the back a little and get a couple points here and there. Did get a draw with Newcastle, but it hasn't really affected much. So, we've both agreed, I think, Leicester, Leeds, and Southampton all going down. Everton staying up, avoiding their first ever relegation still, so that's impressive in its own right. Team's never been relegated out of the Premier League, but other stuff around England that I want to touch on, at least before we hop into some of the rest of Europe, are the EFL League playoffs finals. I guess we can start with the Championship, the playoff final on Saturday between Coventry and Luton. Do you have an opinion on this? Do you have a pick, you think, or have you watched much of these teams?
Yeah, I watched the semifinals. I'm not going to lie, I haven't watched a lot of the Championship this season. Yeah. It's hard to go to ESPN Plus when I can just go to USA and watch the Prem. But both these teams were playing in, the Vanarama Conference back in 2018, or League Two, I think, back in 2018. So that was very recent. Now they're both fighting for a chance to play in the Premier League next year. It's absolutely crazy to think about.
Oh, yeah. It's a crazy story of just going from bottom to top. And I want to say Luton, maybe even Coventry at one point were down in the National League below the top 4 year English leagues. This is technically non-league football, so it's not professional at that point. It's almost semi-pro, but it's incredible stories for either of them to get up. And like we mentioned a little bit ago, if Luton gets promoted, first of all, if you haven't looked at their ground, go and check it out. It's one of the most unique. It's kind of just hidden in between a whole load of houses in London, I want to say. So
you've seen how people have to enter part of the stadium, right? Going through basically someone's garden.
Yeah, you walk through a garden up over a bridge at times. It's just very entertaining, but it's small. I want to say it holds only about 10,000. And from what I've read reports of, they need to put near £10 million at least into that stadium to bring it up to the need for the Premier League. So do you think even if they get promoted, do you think they might have to play elsewhere for the season?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I honestly think the stadium's unique enough. They might try to find a way to let them play there. That will get attention just because of how small it is, just because of the uniqueness of the stadium. I think they'll try to find a way to play it there as long as they're showing progress towards improving it.
Yeah, because let's see 10,100 is the capacity at Kenilworth. So I think they have to put money into it because USA, as you mentioned, covering all the Premier League, that they'll have a field day with that. They'll promote the hell out of it. This team coming up, and it'd be cool to see that. And I mean, the other side of it, playing FIFA, they have all the Premier League stadiums. Imagine playing FIFA at and just seeing the players and fans going through the stadium, through houses and gardens, like you mentioned. Be very, very entertaining.
Yeah, the developers would have fun with that one.
Yes, they would.
Yep.
But then Sunday we have the League Two play, or I guess, who's your prediction for that League One or the championship playoff?
I'm going Luton down.
Luton. Yeah.
With Ethan Horvath in goal, I gotta go Luton, dude.
Yeah, that's fair. Both teams, they drew both their matches in the regular season, so 1-1 and then 2-2. So I think I'll go with you as well. I think Luton will probably get it done. They just seems like they have luck in the story on their side, so that'd be cool to see. But moving on to the League Two playoff, which is Sunday, Carlisle United, Stockport County. I honestly haven't followed either of these teams very closely and don't know too much about it, but it seemed like Stockport won the first match at home 2-0, and then they drew in Carlisle 2-2. I guess you have anything on this one that you want to talk about?
Not going to lie, not entirely well versed with the League Two playoffs, but if it follows what we've been seeing with the rest of the English promotion playoffs, it's going to be a crazy game.
Yes, it will be. And seeing, just looking at it, Carlisle beat Bradford City 3-1 in the second leg after losing 1-0 in the first leg to gain that spot in it. And likewise, Stockport won through on penalties after losing 1-0 to Salford City and then beating Salford City 2-1 in the back end and getting penalties and winning that way. But like you said, not overly exciting. I think I'm probably going to back Stockport just because it looks like they've done a little bit better head-to-head this season. Do you have a pick or prediction for this one?
I got to go with you on that. You got to go with the team. If you don't follow the league, you got to go with the team that has the better stats, better results.
Yeah, just go with the numbers, see how it ends up. But now the fun one for you, especially because I think you said you're a Sheffield Wednesday fan.
I am, yeah.
Sheffield Wednesday versus Barnsley on Monday afternoon. And I don't think anyone saw Sheffield Wednesday making it to this playoff final after their first leg in the semifinal. What was, as a Wednesday fan, walk us through it. What were you thinking after that first leg and then after the second leg?
Well, I thought it was done. 4-0 down. I mean, you just got to think it's done. I was like, I had it on my computer in the corner because I was watching Europa League, Conference League for the most part. I was kind of just, had it over there. I saw a goal, and then I was like, okay, well, they got one back at least, and another goal. And you're like, okay. And then you see the third goal go in with about 20 minutes left, and you're like, no way. You're like, no way this is going to happen. And then, I thought the game was done. And then they score on a long throw basically at the end to make it 4-4, take it to extra time. I think it was you who was like in the chat. You're like, is anyone else watching this? I was like, jumping down. I'm like, yeah, I'm freaking watching this. This is insane.
It was absurd.
And then extra time, obviously went down a goal again. It was an own goal, but then scored again and then won in penalties. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was absolutely probably one of the crazier playoff matches we've seen in a long, long time.
Craziest soccer matches I've seen.
Yeah, that's also true. But the fact over 2 legs that you lose 4-0, you could be so deflated. I know there was a video of a Wednesday fan ripping up his ticket for the reverse fixture after that first defeat. And poor guy, if he didn't end up making it in, missing a hell of a comeback.
Greatest game ever.
Yeah, absurd stuff. And like you said, 98th minute equalizer, which is funny considering they were only given 6 minutes of extra time or of added time at that point. Stuff happens. They get the extra one. And it just felt like to me at that point, Wednesday were going to win. Once it went to extra time, it just seemed they had all the momentum at home, kind of was theirs to lose. And in their defense, they almost did choke it away a little bit, scoring the own goal.
But, hey, they did it. They pulled through. Yeah, this team that I became a fan of because of a video game when I was in, 8th grade. Head back to the championship if they can get this win on Monday.
Yeah, one big one against Barnsley, who, in their own right, Barnsley drew the first leg 1-1 with Bolton, won the second one 1-0 against them. And that second leg was pretty dire, in my opinion. I don't know if you watched much of it, but I had it on because it was the Friday and not much else was going on. Very uneventful. Barnsley scored relatively early and held on. But looking at this final at Wembley, chance to go up into the second division of English football, the championship, for those who don't know. Are your boys going to get it done?
Yes. I feel like the emotional high from last game is going to continue on. And I might just be saying this because I'm a fan and I'm hoping that's what happens. And I really hope they don't just like stay on that emotional high and not bring it for this game. Don't forget, Barnsley has experience in the championship as well. They were even in the Premier League playoff push a couple of years ago with American Daryl DK on the team. So they have experience heading in playoffs like this and being in the championship. So I'm really hoping that Wednesday can get it done. I think they will. I think it's going to be a very good game, though.
Yeah, it should be fun to watch. I mean, it's going to be special. I feel like there's going to be loads of Wednesday fans traveling down from the north to go see their team possibly win promotion. And if they do, back in the championship for the winner of this one, which I'll be playing Leeds next season. So we'll have a little friendly banter there. But moving on from the English leagues, there's one league that's very, very exciting. All the others, Spain, Italy, France, all titles pretty much wrapped up. But the Bundesliga is coming down to the final day of the season, especially thanks to an RB Leipzig 3-1 victory at Bayern Munich this past weekend, paired with a Borussia Dortmund 3-0 win over Augsburg. But as we stand, Borussia Dortmund, first place in the Bundesliga, 70 points. Bayern Munich, second, with 68 points. Do you think Dortmund gets it done and wins their first Bundesliga since 2012?
Yes, but every time I've thought Dortmund's going to take it, they end up losing a game and Bayern ends up taking the lead again. But I do think that they're going to get this one done.
Yeah, go ahead.
Against Mainz, I just think they're going to have what it takes to beat them. Yeah,
especially at home. That's going to be big. And everyone tries to play their best against Bayern Munich, so Cologne will be doing that. And they're at home, Munich on the road. So I have to feel like this is Borussia Dortmund's to win. But at the same time, like you said, we've seen it so many times thinking that, Dortmund might finally dethrone Bayern Munich. And somehow, some way, the footballing gods don't see it that way, and Bayern gets it done and wins the Bundesliga title yet again. I think it's going to happen, but how big do you think that'll be for the Dortmund players? Because I want to say, is Gio Reyna, the American, is still there,
yeah.
So it's and they sold off Erling Haaland last season, losing arguably their best player, and still coming back and making this great run together this season.
Oh, it'd be huge for them. First of all, it's been 10 straight Bundesliga titles for Bayern, which is crazy to think about. It has been not competitive at all. Last time Dortmund's won it was in 2012. So we're looking at an 11-year gap between the last time they've won it to now. And now they have the chance to do it after losing their star player from last season. I mean, that would be incredible to do. Obviously, Bayern's going through their own stuff right now. Losing Lewandowski is huge. Bringing in Sadio Mane, who just hasn't really been the same player like he was at Liverpool. Obviously, the fighting incident with some of his other teammates, sacking Nagelsmann early on, bringing in Tuchel. It just feels like everything is happening for Dortmund to win it, because it's not like they put up an insane amount of points.
No, not at all. It's 70 points they're at right now after 33 matches.
Yeah, but it just feels like everything is kind of fallen into place for them to win it. Like, it feels like the soccer gods are finally like, all right, we've given you a decade of domination for Bayern. Let's have a little bit of fun here. We'll let Leipzig get 2 penalties and beat Bayern 3-1 and give Dortmund a chance heading into the final weekend. So it's theirs to win. They're at home. I think they're going to do it. I'm seeing a Sebastian Haller goal, 77th minute to win it.
Okay, I like that. That would give him 10 goals on the Bundesliga season. He'd be the only one in double digits, which, even looking at that, that's kind of crazy. It's not like they have any star scorers. It's nothing really. They're just a good all-around team. Kind of everything's clicking together. And I guess a question on the Munich side, they did fire Nagelsmann. Yeah. I personally think that was a terrible decision.
Agreed.
It was bad timing. They ended up going out in the Champions League that next round. suddenly lost out in the cup, and then it's been kind of falling apart a bit in the Bundesliga. So you think that was the wrong decision as well, or?
Yeah, 100%. I think most people, I think even they realize it was a mistake. The fire your manager that early when the title hadn't been lost. It wasn't like they were sitting in fourth place
Mm-mm.
and they were doing well in the Champions League as well. And then you fire one of the greatest tactical minds in the world just because you're not happy with how things are going at the moment is so short-sighted and just so stupid in general. And
Yeah.
because I think that honestly is why Dortmund's going to win the league. That decision, all the other stuff, the Mane bull crap, all that other crap happens. But like firing your manager and then bringing in another manager for no reason, basically. I mean, things you weren't dominating, but I mean, you're not going to dominate every single year like you've done in the past. So I just think they definitely just acted on impulse rather than thinking it through. And that's going to give Dortmund the title. And I am so happy about that.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, even looking at it, it's just not been good results since. Because I want to say they sacked him right before the Man City leg. And since then, they've only won of 8 matches, they have 3 wins.
Yeah.
That's not good enough, which had they even won 2 more of those that they either drew or lost, they'd be Bundesliga champions once again. And it wasn't like they were still winning the Bundesliga when they sacked him.
Yep.
I will never understand that decision. It's kind of just one of those weird ones that I guess just happens. But where do you think he'll end up going, Nagelsmann? Because he's been linked with quite a few other jobs. I know Spurs wanted him at one point, but do you think he goes to England or goes elsewhere in Europe?
I honestly don't know. I do think he's going to be at the Bundesliga. I think he's kind of like figured, oh, I've been here for enough. It's time to go take my talents elsewhere, basically. But I honestly have no idea where he's going to go. I thought he was going to go to Chelsea, but it sounds like he had the wherewithal to not take that job because of all the crap that's going on at Chelsea with the freaking buying players on these insane contracts for insane money. Not really building a squad, just buying players.
Yep.
So it looks like he had the wherewithal to say no to that. So I honestly don't know where he's going to go because it seems like he's really kind of looking for the right fit rather than just taking the first big job he can take.
Yeah, agreed. I could see him end up somewhere, maybe Italy. I could see him as an Italian in the Serie A, but like you said, it's just one of those weird ones where he's probably linked with half a dozen different jobs, but don't know if he's just waiting out for the right one. And honestly, I'm glad he didn't take the Tottenham job. I don't think it would have really worked out in his favor, especially considering they're probably going to sell Harry Kane this summer. At least they should. But
imagine he goes to Arsenal.
Oh my goodness, the scenes at the next London derby.
I saw a little thing
about if he goes to Arsenal.
Oh, that'd be crazy. It'd be Sol Campbell all over again.
It awesome. Really would be. No, realistically, I think Kane will probably end up at Man U.
Yeah, I could see
as much
that.
as it hurts to say, but I don't really see anywhere else for him.
Yeah, I don't
kind of go. But anything else on this Bundesliga title race, or are you ready to kind of move on to another European league?
Beyond the title race, they have an interesting Champions League race as well.
Yeah, that's a good point.
They've got heading into it. So Leipzig obviously qualified for Champions League with that victory at Bayern Munich. They clinched their spot. But then you look at 4th and 5th place, Union Berlin and SC Freiburg. They're both tied on 59 points heading into the final day. So that could be very interesting to watch.
Yeah, especially with, Freiburg's playing at Frankfurt, which is never easy. We've seen the Frankfurt fans in Europa League before are absolutely loud, very passionate fan base, and they're ready to kind of make it a super hard place to win. Meanwhile, Union Berlin is home to Werder Bremen, which they're kind of down in 12th, so not a powerhouse at all, but it's a little spicy. It's exciting stuff. Who do you think gets it done? Because, you also got to think, Union Berlin at one point, about maybe a third of the way through the season, were winning the Bundesliga.
Yeah, they were, which is crazy to think about because they only got promoted semi-recently from Bundesliga 2.
Yeah.
And they've kind of built it up now with a super impressive squad, you'd say, in terms of their personnel, but they play as a team, and when they're at home, those fans go absolutely crazy. So I think they're going to get it done because they get to finish at home against Werder Bremen. They've got the positive goal difference. I think they get the win. I think they're in the Champions League, which is crazy to think about that Union Berlin is going to be playing Champions League football.
Yeah, we'll be
They already played in Europe, but to be in Champions League is something different.
Yeah, we'll be seeing Union Berlin taking on Real Madrid, something like that, Man City. And just for those fans alone, obviously they get to go to some great venues and stadiums in Germany, but going abroad is always a blast to follow your team. But I guess that gives me another question on that Champions League positioning, at least in the Bundesliga. Bayern Munich finished second. We have Barcelona winning La Liga. What are the chances we get those two in the group stage? Because it seems like they play almost every year.
Yeah, it just feels like sometimes UEFA has that fixed, huh? That would be interesting.
That would be indeed.
A couple games to see.
Because they weren't in the same. Were they in the same group this past year? I can't believe I'm blanking on it.
Yeah, I'm blanking too. I remember Barca had an absolutely horrid time, but
yeah, I want to say they were because I think Barcelona got just trampled by them.
Let's see.
I have it right here. Yes, they were. Yeah, it was that Bayern Munich, Inter Milan, Barcelona, and Victoria Pilsen. And Munich kind of beat the hell out of Barca when they played each other. So
I thought Bayern was going to win the Champions League with how they were playing at that point.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I think they honestly, with Nagelsmann, I think they could have. I really do.
I'm not sure. I'm not as convinced because I think Manchester City this year is that team, but
I still think City bottles it.
Yep, I was gonna say don't put it past a team like Inter Milan to find a way to somehow shut it out. That's what's so fun about the Serie A. Such an aggressive league, especially defensively, very physical, and all the managers just so many mind games. It's just fun to watch. Also, the momentum coming in after beating your arch rival that you share a stadium with. So, momentum there, kind of like Sheffield Wednesday has the momentum coming in. I feel like Inter is just confident, but
and they got Lautaro up top, and then Dzeko as well, and then you got Lukaku coming in off the bench. They've got some firepower up top for sure.
And one of the few teams that can probably match the depth of Manchester City, so it's going to be interesting. But kind of moving on to Inter Milan's league, Serie A, some news came out this week. The past couple of days, Juventus has been handed a 10-point penalty. Are you surprised considering they were originally given 24 and then it was removed, and now they're being hit with a penalty again?
I'm surprised with the timing. I mean, Jose Mourinho came out and spoke about it. It was like, why would you do this with 2 games left? That is crazy to do. I think the timing of it is just insane. Like, why would you do that with because that changes everything for not just for Juventus, but for other teams, because you're playing and you're like, all right, Juventus is going to have 69 points. They got a Champions League spot. We just got to focus on other stuff. But then suddenly they have 59 points. They drop from 2nd place to 7th place. It changes everything. So that's what Jose Mourinho was kind of talking about. I wrote about this in a little piece the other day. He was like, it's just stupid because it changes everything for us. We wouldn't have approached the games we've played recently the same way. So I'm just surprised with the timing of it. I thought it was going to be a next season kind of thing, like,
Yeah, where they hold off until and they start with minus 10 points next season. We've seen that happen in Europe all the time before. So I'm with you. I was kind of shocked by it, but it makes this weekend's match against AC Milan very, very important. And kind of the irony there is why Juventus fall out, AC Milan, who was sitting in 5th place, now in 4th place and in that final Champions League spot. But they're only 5 points ahead of Juve with 2 matches left. All still to play for. This one on Saturday, I want to say it's Saturday. Sunday is very, very big.
Yeah. This weekend is going to be massive for Serie A now that Juve's got that point penalty. Well, first of all, they also announced the point penalty minutes before they played Empoli.
Yeah.
Ended up losing that game 4-1. Because how are you going to play that game not thinking about the fact that, we were just in Champions League, now we got to fight for it? So they lose that, stay on 59 points. Now when you look at the table, you have obviously Napoli. They won it. They wrapped it a while ago. Lazio in Champions League, 2nd place. And then you have Inter, 66 points. they're probably going to get Champions League. They got 2 games left. They just need basically a result.
Mm.
And AC Milan, Atalanta, Roma, and Juve are all fighting for that final spot. AC 64 points, Atalanta 61, then Roma 60, Juve 59. It's going to be interesting because Juve has to get that win.
Yeah.
They have to. And then not only they have to get that win against AC Milan, then they're going to have to beat Udinese and hope that other results go their way. So it's going to be really fun to watch what happens now that this happened.
Yeah, and it's not great looking at who AC Milan has to play after Juventus. They go and play Verona, who are sitting 18th at the moment.
Yeah.
Likely going to be a win there, but even with the movement, it makes it interesting in another one on this time Saturday. Inter Milan home to Atalanta.
Yeah.
And that could throw a wrench into it because Atalanta wins. Suddenly they're at 64 points, Inter of 66, and say Juve do win. There's 2 teams on 64 points. Atalanta would probably be ahead on goal difference over AC Milan.
Yep.
And you still can't count out Roma, who they beat Fiorentina this weekend. They're at 63. Serie A's Champions League race is very, very exciting.
Yeah, and Atalanta on that final day plays Monza at home, and that's a game they should win. So if they get that win against Inter and AC loses to Juve, we have got absolute pandemonium on that final day. It will be so fun to watch.
Yeah, especially with, Inter have to go to Torino, which Torino's 10th at the moment, Monza's 8th, so relatively similar matches. But going on the road is not easy in Italy. It's very difficult, and I think that gives a slight advantage to Atalanta, because you said they're home to Monza.
Yeah.
That home field advantage could be huge on this final day. So
especially with Champions League potentially. Yeah,
that too, because when's the Champions League final? It's the 10th or 11th. Yeah, the 10th or 11th, I want to say. So it's that following week. So maybe Inter Milan have kind of checked out of the league at that point and are just focused all their attention onto the Champions League final with Man City. So it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be fun stuff to see down the stretch. Let's have a look around the other leagues. Is there anything else in Serie A you kind of want to discuss on? But
I just think Serie A and Italian soccer in general is back on the rise.
Oh, 100%.
I'd love to see it. When you see, obviously, Inter is in the final for the Champions League. Then you have Fiorentina in the final for the Conference League. And you would have had Juve in the final for the Europa League if they didn't play Sevilla, who's literally the king of the Europa League. But
and you have to say Roma is in the Europa League final.
Yeah, Roma, yeah. So just you seeing all that these teams are competing in Europe, and then in the league, you've had all these different champions recently. It used to be Juve. People are like, oh, it's just one of those farmers leagues. Like the Bundesliga, Juve always wins it. But now you're seeing teams like Napoli winning, Inter winning, AC Milan winning. You've seen 4 different champions in the last 4 years. Serie A is fun to watch now. It's competitive. We're just talking about the Champions League race. That's going to be fun to watch. And the teams are playing well on the European stage. So I think Italian soccer is making a comeback, and it's fun to watch.
It really is. And especially after they missed out on the World Cup again, you kind of felt like, at least I personally felt like maybe Italian football is going down the drain a little bit, but they've sure proven everyone wrong, especially on the club side this season. And I think it'll be exciting in the next. And it's always great when you have personalities in it, like obviously Jose Mourinho, one of the most entertaining coaches. I want to say Conte is still at Inter Milan as well. So
yeah, and Jose Mourinho was out there chirping little kids.
Yep.
The youth match, like you don't get that anywhere else, and no one gets away with that unless you're Jose Mourinho. So
he's the special one for a reason.
He is.
But no, otherwise, Serie A just been fun to watch this season, and I don't know what channel it's even on in the US at the moment. I think it's Fox has the rights, but
it's Paramount Plus, and then
that's right.
Games on CBS Sports Network.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have to get Paramount Plus if you really want to watch it, which is a drag because there's so many different streaming services you need now to watch games. Like you got Paramount Plus for all that, ESPN Plus for a lot of stuff. MLS is on Apple TV, and you got to get the season pass to watch all those games. It's just all over the place, which sucks, but it's just how it is now.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate, but a life of streaming. I'm still annoyed that Champions League gets thrown on Paramount Plus and they don't show games.
Yeah,
shout out Mexican TV.
Yeah,
they have been for knockout stages, but it's group stage, it always seemed like it was the goal zone and on CBS Sports, never anything on CBS, which kind of annoyed me. But
that's one thing I liked about Fox back in the day. Is they used to always have a game on Fox Sports 1 and Fox Sports 2.
Yep.
You'd always watch it. With this, they're just pushing that Paramount Plus stuff so hard that they're putting these really good Champions League games on it, which is nice when I'm at school because one of my friends has Paramount Plus in our house, so we can still watch it. But when I'm at home, I can't watch anything. So
yeah, it's annoying. But like, and it's not even that, just those leagues. Obviously, I mean, I follow the Argentinian league relatively close, big kind of support River Plate in that. And I would watch that but that's all on Paramount Plus. So it's kind of just hard to follow all of there's too much. There's always something going on in the footballing world. There's too much to watch, not enough time. But these streaming services, in my opinion, make it a little harder.
Agreed.
Is there any like other news of any note you want to talk about recently? I'm kind of looking at the other tables of Ligue 1 and then La Liga. La Liga's all wrapped up in terms of the title race. The only real difference could be Atletico Madrid could jump Real Madrid, which that would be kind of exciting in its own right, just for the Atletico fans. But and then there's Ligue 1. PSG need a single point from their last two to clinch that title. Should be relatively easy there for them, considering they play Strasbourg and Clermont Foot.
Yeah.
Who, not really the best teams.
Strasbourg
15th, Clermont 7 or 8. It's just not really an exciting league, and even those Champions League spots are relatively wrapped up. But is there anything else in the footballing world you want to discuss?
I'd say some of the biggest news coming in the world right now is kind of happening in La Liga, obviously with Vinny Jr.
Yeah,
you've been seeing all the stuff that's going on. The amount of racial abuse that he's had to deal with this season is unfathomable. In my
opinion. Really is.
Yeah, and La Liga is doing like nothing about it, basically.
No,
it's crazy.
It's terrible. I would not be surprised one bit if we see him leave La Liga after this season. I know it'd be the likely, but the thing is, where would he go? Premier League, maybe? I saw some people saying, hey, come to the MLS. We will treat you so much better.
We would be like a king.
But God, could you imagine Vinny Jr. in the MLS?
Oh, wouldn't be fair.
It would be. He's already destroying some of the best defenders in the world in the Champions League and in La Liga. Comes to the MLS, and nothing against the MLS, but it's not nearly the level of quality that these European leagues are. So I think he would have a field day, similar to what Zlatan did when he first came over, but I think it'd be worse. I think it'd be almost embarrassing at times.
Like he's not even hit his peak yet. He's still young.
Yeah, he's what, 20, 22, 23 now?
Yeah. So I think he's
22.
I think he's gonna stay at Real Madrid. I don't think he leaves, but La Liga's gotta change something because like what the Atletico fans did with hanging him off the bridge like a dummy with his number on it, that's just crazy. Like that's like, and the chants and all this, and then even the refereeing this weekend when they gave him the red card. Like
I will say on that one, I love that the league came out and was like, yeah, we're not suspending him for anything. He's able to play the next match because just retaliated to a terrible situation that the league, like you said, has done absolutely nothing about.
Yeah, well, I think the league only did that because of the backcry, though. I honestly think if there wasn't the backlash, they would have let it happen, which is unfortunate. But yeah, man, that stuff's crazy because like you think that we're at a point now where someone like Vinicius Jr., who's just an incredible athlete, like one of the best in the world, can just play his game without having to worry about all that other crap. And if that other crap happens, you'd hope that the league and other teams would help him out kind of a little bit more than they are. So,
yeah, but it's just crazy because I mean, even you saw in Brazil, they shut off the lights on Christ the Redeemer, their biggest attraction in the entire country, kind of their monument that you ever picture Brazil, you picture the giant statue of Christ with his arms out. They turned the lights off on that for an hour or two in solitude with him and like turn away from racism and all of that. And it's crazy because all these leagues are preaching, oh, we don't want racism anymore, or yada, yada, yada. Still happens relatively frequently. And
Italy's just bad, man. Italy's awful as well.
Italy's always been bad. I know that much. It's just some things have never really changed there, I don't think. But It's it's a mess. Shouldn't be happening in anything, especially to kids who are still 22 years old. It's awful stuff. But I guess I got one other piece of news that I just found out about, kind of just looking around for other things. Big tragedy at a game in El Salvador. I don't know if you saw anything about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, 12 dead in a crowd stampede. That's like the fourth or fifth time that's happened in the last 2 years that there's been a fan riot and people have ended up dead. It's feels like something needs to change because I mean, even looking at I don't know if you saw the end of the West Ham and AZ Alkmaar game the other day. These Dutch fans run over and try and attack the West Ham families and friends section. Players come in to try and prevent it. My favorite video from that was there are these two big West Ham fans standing on top of a staircase. And it's not like it's a smaller English team. Obviously, West Ham's not huge, but their fans are some of the most ferocious in football there. And these two big guys, big beer bellies, bald heads, just kicking and knocking these Dutch fans down the stairs as they try and run into the crowd. Those guys were pretty cool to see, but it's just crazy what fans are still doing. And as much as it interests me, the hooliganism side of it, but it's shouldn't be happening as much.
Yeah, and like the thing about soccer is it brings out emotions in people that other sports don't. Whatever it is, it's just there's a reason it's called a beautiful game. It's because it brings something out of you that like nothing else can. But unfortunately, some people channel that into negative energy rather than the positive energy that you can get from it. Obviously, do you see the Espanyol Barca game as well? When Barca won the league at Espanyol and relegated them in the same game, the fans ran on and tried to follow them into the tunnel to go after them. Like, I know you're rival fans, but like at the end of the day, it is just a game. Like it is just a game. You could say it is more than that, but at the end, it is just a game. So when you see these fans taking it to that extra level, that's just it's just criminal, honestly.
Yeah, it's absurd. I'm glad we've seen because I mean it was the Tottenham fan who tried to kick Aaron Ramsdale earlier in the season. He was arrested and suspended. We saw the Leeds fan the other day against Newcastle run on and try and push Eddie Howe. He's been given a lifetime ban. So some of these teams are doing things, but the overall leagues themselves really aren't doing much to prevent it. And I know that it should be easier. It's easier said than done, but this is why things like I know Argentina, for example, they've banned away fans. You can't even go as an away fan anymore because too much crowd issues. It's crazy stuff. Love the atmosphere it brings, but also at the same time, it's not necessarily good to see.
Yeah, for sure. And unfortunately, the only way, it's got to be some of the clubs. You got to have more police presence, which you don't want to have, but I mean, that's one of the better ways you can deal with these problems. And obviously the stadium falling. I haven't really looked too much into it. I've just saw that it happened. But I'd imagine that obviously there wasn't enough of a presence to keep that large quantity of fans from going in that certain area where it collapsed.
Yeah. Brings back kind of, I mean, the Heysel disaster between Liverpool and Juventus back in the 80s. And there was Hillsborough. So stuff has tried to change, but it just, at the end of the day, it just seems like some of these aging stadiums just aren't built well enough. And I wonder if that's a big part of why the two Milans or if it has any part of why the two Milan teams are building their own new stadiums, get out of the San Siro after forever. But who knows? We don't have the connections necessarily to make these right calls. I don't speak any Italian, so that hinders me in that aspect a bit. But is there anything else you want to talk about before we kind of wrap this up?
Nothing specific. I think we covered most of the big stuff here. I'm just really looking forward to this final weekend. It's going to be very exciting to see on different leagues. I know I'm going to have my TV set up with some games, my laptop with other games. It's just going to be a fun watch to see what happens.
Yes, it will be. I'm going to be shitting my pants at work. I have to work, unfortunately, during the Leeds match. Fortunately, I work at a restaurant that has a TV, so they sure as hell that's going to be on as long as it's on one of the real channels, not Peacock, which I think it should be because they usually do. Yeah. They usually do the last weekend. All 10 matches are on 10 channels, but we'll see. Otherwise, I mean, it's just all around excitement from Friday through Monday. Important matches being played all over the world, and it's good stuff coming in.
It'll be fun.
But that kind of wraps up our time. Jackson, thank you for coming on. We'll definitely have to do another one of these soon, talk some more football, because as fun as it is talking NBA, NHL, soccer, football, that's our thing.
Yep.
Love talking that, so it's a blast. Thank you guys for watching, and check out all of our stuff at Vendetta Sports Media's website, our YouTube channel, our Twitch page. Keep an eye on our Twitters because we have all sorts of stories going up every single day. You can reach out to Jackson on Twitter at JWFYDA. Reach out to me on Twitter at JerryF007 because we want to hear your guys' thoughts. Some of our takes hot. You don't agree with us. You think, what? Maybe Juventus is going to come out of nowhere and get through. Bayern Munich's going to win the league. Who knows? Give us your thoughts. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.